Welcome back to the show, friends. In this broadcast, we're looking back at August 16th, 2021, the Summer Wells Search Day 63, the Dawn and CANDUS Happy Hour, I dubbed it. Now, this discusses and shows a little nugget that Chris McDonough dropped me way back when of Don Wells' angry phone call back to him. Many of you will remember this, of course. Let's check it out. Thank you very much for joining. And please, don't forget, hit me up at my email inbox for my cookies or world-famous pain-relieving moisturizing balms or beauty balms.
But it's not that. I'm going to pick it up halfway through. Actually, I'm going to just play the audio, actually, is what I'm going to do, because it's not the picture so much. It's the audio that is going to be triggering in all this. Not triggering, excuse me. It's going to be everything that I need to know. I was going to go through like a timeline from all my uploads here on StreamYard, because some of them are pretty funny. Remember the day that he got all hammered up? Don, it hasn't been 2 months and there's been 2 episodes of you not being able to control your drunken self. I was in the deepest, darkest pit and no way out. The Bible was laying there in the mud and I stepped on it 4 times now. I didn't dare open it. I was mad at God. But I allowed satanic forces to overwhelm me and overcome me and throw me down in this pit. There was no one that could help me, so I reluctantly opened the Bible, read a few things, and begged God, please help me to return. Wasn't this on a side note, wasn't this from The Green Mile by Stephen King? I think I've read this somewhere before. I read a few things, God help me, but please to return where I once was, and he pulled me out of the pit. I asked him, please forgive me for being mad at him, for turning my back on him. It's not his fault that evil exists. I praise you, Lord, forgive me. And I also pray for all my brothers and sisters in Christ facing such challenges. See how he sneaks that one in? Praise be always to the living God forever and ever, amen. Learned that shit in prison. Thank you very much, Pixelate Me. CANDUS has broken her cover, and we're going to get to that tonight. Thank you very much. Everything that CANDUS has stated is now, you have a right to question it. Not very good at gaslighting. They must not have the internet in prison, do they, Don, when you learned all this shit? Thank God they had it on the outside. Fucking prison religion. Now, get over here to Tiffany Marie's for a second. We'll use that link that I shared. Before we get started tonight, now that we have the numbers, can I please just remind everybody, I know sometimes emotions can run high. Please try to keep it respectful. Try not to mention other channels' names except Skeezy. You can mention him and trash him all you want in my chat. And yes, it is a double-edged sword here, but unfortunately, we're at war. The infamous truth telling voiceovers, maybe for some video games. That'd be pretty funny, a video game, a funny video game. Remember Leisure Suit Larry? You should almost do like a Leisure Suit Larry, almost up to date with all the mental illnesses, and so you could do it as a training exercise for the public. All these people who don't. Well, we'll talk about that later. Instead of learning from the great games like, what is it, Gran Torino. Thank you for all the new orders today. I got actually 8 new orders today. Kept me so freaking busy that I still have them piling up in my inbox. Thank you very much. If anybody's interested, the topicals are getting into my website. Let's just listen to how angry Don is, because essentially this is what it's all based off of. So let's re-listen for a second to the interview.
But they're willing to help me try to buy my daughter now. They're probably going to want to help me now. They're going to think that I did it because of what you did. So you lied on me, man.
What did I lie about?
Because I told you the truth and you twisted it all.
Okay, Okay, what
That's lying.
did I lie about?
It might be.
Tell me what
that might be your opinion.
Tell me what I lied about.
Everything. I told you that, like, for one, that, yeah, me and my stepsister had something going on when we was younger, and you put on there that it was me and her daughter.
No.
Are you crazy?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
I said it's your stepsister.
I guess my niece, or whatever she's supposed to be to me, the one that says I raped her, which is 100% lies.
Trish never said you raped her.
What it says on her video.
Well, that's her video. That's not mine.
Yeah.
So what does Trish's statement have to do with me?
You put her statement on your show.
But I
on your podcast.
Because I watched her statement, and I wanted people just like you to know the truth.
But she's lying. You know, and that's the thing. You don't know whether she's telling the truth or I'm telling the truth. I know who's telling the truth.
Right. But now,
she knows who's lying.
Well, then, what about the statement you gave me about? Is it your stepsister?
Yeah, my stepsister.
And you.
When we were young.
How old were you?
Yeah, that was me.
How old were you?
You know, she initiated all this stuff. I'm gonna tell you that right now. She initiated it. Yes.
Okay. And then you just went along with it?
Well, I was a kid, brother.
And how old?
I was a kid. I didn't know no better.
How old were you?
I was still a kid. I might have been somewhat a little bit older than her.
How much?
I can't remember. I was a kid.
Oh yeah. How many years difference? Do you remember?
There's a little bit of difference there, you know.
How many?
But she still initiated it and stabbed me in my back.
How many years different?
Man, there ain't no talking to you. I can see that. You're gonna twist everything I said.
I'm asking you how many years different. That's it.
I don't know. But you're just gonna twist it. You're just gonna make me up to look bad. This happened like over 40 years ago, and she wants to bring it all up now. All the time I was in prison, she could have called the cops on me and had me charged for rape if it actually happened. So you know it's got to be lies right there. You made me look like a freaking criminal, dude. I'm trying to change your lives. Fucking idiot. We all make mistakes. You act like you're Mr. Perfect, like you ain't done a fucking thing wrong in your life, and that's a lie.
Okay, what have I done wrong?
Oh, according to you, not a damn thing, but I'm sure you have.
I'm asking you.
You're not perfect.
If you know my life, so tell me what I've done.
I know what Christ says, and he says everybody has sinned. So tell me you haven't sinned.
I'm a sinner.
Tell me a fucking lie.
I'm a sinner. I agree with you.
Yeah, you are. You are a sinner. Don't fucking lie to me. You ain't no better than me, so fuck you. And I will do everything I can to slander your name.
In knowing what happened that day, I know it's going to be hard for me to have to relive, but...
Well, sir, I was at work, but from what my wife has told me and stuff, you know, her and her mother and Summer were planting flowers by her grandma's trailer, which is about, 20 feet from the house there, real close to the house. And Summer all of a sudden said, Mom, I want to go in the house. So she said, fine. And her brothers were in there watching YouTube. And so she watched her walk in the door and went in there. And then she went in there and her brother said that she was going to go downstairs and play with her toys. So she went downstairs and then Mom come in and says, where's Summer? Well, she's downstairs playing with her toys. And they hollered for her and there was no answer. So she went downstairs and she was nowhere to be found. She went out the basement door. The door was unlocked, but she's never left there. She might be on the other side of the house.
What happens when she comes in? The boys are playing where?
No, the boys are actually sitting here.
Okay.
And they're actually sitting right here at the table watching TV.
Okay, so they're at the table watching TV. Okay.
They were all locked in. Nobody could get in. Nobody could get out. Kind of thing.
Now, who's this
They're
on?
actually sitting right here at the table watching TV.
Okay, so they're at the table
Yeah,
watching TV. Okay.
They were all locked in. Nobody could get in. Nobody could get out. Kind
Okay.
of thing.
Okay.
They were all locked in. Nobody could get in. Nobody could get out. Kind
Okay.
of thing.
I went out there before and called for her, and she come out from behind the house because she just has to be outside. She's an outside type of person, you know. But she was gone, buddy.
How are some of his brothers doing?
They're coping with it better than me and their mother are, and I don't understand that. But I mean, when they really think about it, they're upset, but they're coping with it way better. Especially the youngest one. It's like I don't know. It's weird to me, but
It doesn't seem real to him.
yeah.
Well, I guess, how are the kids doing? How are your sons doing?
It seems like they handle it better for some odd reason that I don't understand. My oldest boy, though, he'll stop from time to time and say he misses his sister, you know, stuff. But, you know, your mind has a way of forgetting every now and then. I find myself doing it, too. Every now and then but then it comes right flooding all back, of course, you know.
Yeah.
I might get away from it for about 15, 20 seconds, but it'll all come back.
In your family's mind, but you've got to kind of move on with the business of living. And I guess one of the things is your kids have to go back to school. And I was wondering if you all had given any thought to that, and if that's going to be if that's something that's going to be hard to do to take them back to school.
Well, I mean, I don't know why, but they're dealing with it okay more than me, and they're doing a lot better than me and CANDUS are.
Mm-hmm.
Not why that is, but I don't know. Because when I was in school, one of my guys, one of the kids that was in school with us, bought his son a shotgun, and somehow it accidentally went off and killed his dad right in front of him. And we never did see that kid back in school again, but that was his daddy, though. There's a difference, you know, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, maybe my kids are looking at it like, well, maybe God will bring her back, or I don't know. But statistically speaking, I mean, there's a good chance she's already dead if you look at it statistically.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to think that. I love her with all my heart, but only God, you know, if nothing else, you know, I'll see her in the resurrection. As long as I keep the commandments and I do what I'm supposed to do, I'll see her in the commandments, if that's the case, you know. And some of the boys have a bad habit of leaving that basement door unlocked, too. And let's stop a minute and think about Summer, you know. We're upset about that, but they can go a lot further longer than I can without thinking about it. But I don't know. They seem to be doing fine, especially the youngest one. And there's many times we'd be in the house and I'd say, "You guys left Summer outside alone. Go get her." And I looked everywhere also, yes.
And what about the door?
You know, I don't remember. No, I do know the boys, we cuss them because they just leave it wide open all the time.
Right.
You know, I'm like, man, you got to keep that locked or shut, and they just don't listen.
Right.
Could
Summer open that door?
Probably so. Yeah, I would say so, yeah.
How many times have you seen her open it, if you know?
I don't know, but she's pretty intelligent for her age. She's real intelligent, very smart, very agile.
Yeah, Miss Robbins said that.
Okay.
But I know it's hard on. But I know I did come out of that.
Okay.
But I know it's hard on. But I know I did come out.
Okay.
But I know it's hard on. But I know I did come out.
Yeah, she loves to run. I could be running my lawnmower and she would just run behind me constantly the whole way, nonstop. The boys would be riding their little motorcycles and she'd be right behind them all the way, over and over around the house, just nonstop. Plenty of energy.
Would she chase them?
Well, she'd just be running behind them laughing.
Right.
She wouldn't be, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like
just having fun.
Like little kids do.
Yeah, she don't even need a bike or motorcycle. She, you know,
Right.
well, they could have snatched her quick.
What did your boys say?
They were glued to the TV. They weren't, and you can't say nothing to them. They're just in la la land.
Right.
They were all glued to that damn TV and their games on their phones, everything. So they, you know.
Were they playing any games?
Yeah, they were playing games, and they was on YouTube watching. I forget what that is. It's like a puzzle game where you build stuff on there. I don't know. I forget what it's called, but they loved watching that.
Oh, Minecraft?
Minecraft, yeah. I love that.
I used to call it Minecraft.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, exactly.
And so, what did each of your sons tell you?
Well, one time me and Josie, he just started crying. I don't even remember what I said to him or what. And he says, "Dad, it's not my fault." You know, and he was crying. And I said, "I know, son. I know it's not your fault. I'm sorry, whatever." And I don't even remember what I said to him or what to make him cry. But I just remember him saying, "It's not my fault." You know, and I felt bad. But we ain't been the same. We ain't going to be the same.
And what was your other boy say?
Wyatt told my wife that if he would have went downstairs with Summer like she wanted him to, she probably wouldn't be gone. He feels like he's kind of guilty of it too.
And then your other?
Waylon's too young. He's just too young to understand right now.
And what were they playing hide and seek maybe?
No, they were all upstairs. The boys were playing Minecraft, watching Minecraft and playing games on their phone like they always do. They get stuck on it.
Right. Now, when the kids, their brothers and sisters, did they play a lot of hide and seek? That's a great place to play it up there in that.
Yeah, they have a few times, but at that time, from everything I've heard, they wasn't. And then two, they took the boys to some specialists somewhere to be questioned.
Oh, good.
Yeah, a couple times.
Okay.
Because they can't just come out and ask them questions. They have to take them to specialists. So they was gone for quite a while. They had to drive them quite a ways away.
Right. And what do you think they shared with them?
The truth. Yeah, just everything I've told you.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure is the absolute truth.
Yeah. No, kids have a tough time. Depends on the totality of the circumstances.
My biggest fear is, her being tormented or locked in a dungeon or basement or something, because she loves to be outside all the time. That was her.
That's what triggered me off. His biggest concern was that she is locked in a dungeon. Knowing what I know about Don Wells right now and how he explains things, how he lies, his pattern, his MO, and his access to all of these empty houses, or knows these little spots in these little subdivisions where they're just building. Yeah, they kept her in one. They kept her in a dungeon. Huda Ali says, and by the way, Mama Lisa, yes, I would come out to, if that's a 61,000 square foot ranch, you're talking like Dallas style. I'll be your JR, and Tiffany can come too, and we'll produce an even better show out there. Huda Ali says, excellent work, AB. Thank you very much, by the way, for the $10. As for Dawn, you have all the symptoms of antisocial personality disorder. Seek therapy. But I enjoyed the shed tour you gave us. My advice is seek an attorney. Jesus is his attorney, remember? Now, knowing what, you remember that little scenario a few moments ago that we just visited where she interjected a whole fucking idiot on Chris over the phone for effect during her happy hour, her not so happy hour?
You know, when they drink and they get into that gram and they're doing they're doing their little thing, they start really believing in themselves, and really they're huge narcissists. So you can imagine the kind of nonsense that they believe that's in their head. And of course, they're paranoid as all fuck. Which makes it really easy to get into their heads. It's almost, you know, you shouldn't get too attached to enjoying any one particular thing about this too much. It's unhealthy. But you kind of get where in a scenario like this, it might be reason to laugh a little bit. Hunter, his recollection of what was going on and this whole scenario about her grabbing the phone and the drug dealer is now even more compelling. The whole connection, because look, Don and Candace probably share the same drug dealer, and it's all part and parcel. Let's find out what's going on. At least we know what to ask. We're going to be asking the right questions. Thanks to Chris McDonough. You don't have to ask them directly. That's for law enforcement to do. You know, it's not our jobs to accuse anybody. But when there's lies and tomfoolery and deception afoot, it's our jobs to say something, especially when there is a child involved. And as you remember, we're all here looking for Summer Wells. And she's our child. And could I get some Purple Hearts and prayer hands and a little memoriam for our Summer Wells, which we've come to know and love over the past 63 days. We want her back. And that's something that Don Wells has never actually stated. Isn't that odd? The more that he speaks, the more that he talks, the more likely it is that she's going to be found. It's not what he says directly, as Tiffany and I have been reiterating up here night after night. It's it's what he's not saying. Read in between the lines. Apply the Georgia Costanza effect to exactly what he's saying. He's relying on prison tactics. He only knows, fundamentals, just enough to get yourself arrested. But he's not quite good enough, and he was hoping on people's. He was hoping on people not giving this the attention that Summer deserves, the type of attention that he never gave her. And we're all here tonight wishing it's not all late and it's not all for nothing. The fact that you say has her locked in a dungeon or something like that. Let's have a listen. Thank you very much, by the way, for the $5, Holly Love. AB, do they call the drug sheds haulers? No, I don't think so. The haulers are the little dips. Just remember back into the Dukes of Hazzard. Think about a camera in every section of the dips in between the mountains and where the roads are. Those are all haulers. But he's got sheds in every corner of his lawn. So, he has got 11.5 acres on a peninsula on a hill. It's pretty good if you're looking to fight away the British. It's probably real good for hiding anything. And Don is just that person. And Don is a pervert, and he has a preference for 5-year-old children. We know that, and we knew that, unfortunately, because of the story that, Tiffany Marie and broke on our channel with her interview with Jeannie and Trish. I'm doing too much talking. Hold on. Let's press play. So I want you to open your ears, and he's going to, I've got it time-stamped here, so let's begin.
So I'm just giving you, a heads up on that, okay? Just so you know. Okay.
Got you.
Now, straight up, though, from there now, you're here. Mm-hmm. When's the next time CANDUS contacts you?
Around 7:30 that day.
That night. And where were you at that time?
I was over at the park in Bristol with my girl.
Hanging out with your girlfriend?
Uh-huh.
Okay, and what happens? Tell me about that.
So she called me saying that someone's missing.
Okay.
I thought she was pulling a leg because she's known to do that.
Okay. Why would she mess around with her daughter missing, though? What struck you about that?
I mean, it's just, we explain how she does when she gets drunk. She tends to, when she gets drunk and high at the same time.
Yep.
She tends to think that she loses the kids, but they're out front in the yard. That's what I was thinking.
Got it. So this is something that's happened in the past?
No, she hasn't went missing. It's just that she got high and drunk and forgot that Summer was outside.
Got it. Straight up. What did she tell you?
She was like, Summer's missing. So I was just like, okay, well, why don't you just go look outside?
Right.
She says, I have been. She ain't there. I said, well, call Allie then, because I don't know if she's still pulling a leg. Because if I tell her to call Allie, she'll call me back. And then I'll call Mom and be like, did she tell you this? Or was she just messing around?
Got it. So you call your mom?
Yeah, I call her on Facebook after she picks up.
And gave her a heads up that
CANDUS was going to call.
CANDUS going to call her and tell her that Summer's missing. Straight up. So at that point, does she call you again? Just that night?
Nah, she called me the next day saying that she's sitting in the police station.
She's sitting in the police station?
Yeah.
And what does she say about that?
She says they want to do another polygraph test on me.
Another polygraph test?
Yeah.
How many polygraph tests did they do that you know of?
I just know 2.
2? Yeah. And how did she do on those polygraphs? Did she tell you?
She did not tell me. She just said she had to do that, and I just ignored her the rest of the time.
Okay.
Because they told me not to even get contact of her.
Got it. The police told you don't contact her?
No, the TBI told me.
TBI, don't contact her.
Well, it's some funny crap how they tell me, I'm not dissing them or nothing, I'm just saying how they tell me that I'm going to get my phone that Monday afternoon, and it's been almost 2 months straight now.
Okay.
A month. It's been a month.
Okay. Well, they're just trying to line up your story.
I understand that.
And that's important, right? I mean, you know that.
Yeah, it's just that.
For Summer.
I gave them all the proof that would line up the story.
I totally agree. Okay. But at the same time, the investigation's fluid.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know where your heart is for Summer. And so as a result of that, you know, they're going to hold on to that phone and they're going to connect all those dots. And that's the right thing to do, right? Would you agree with that? Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that said now, she contacts you again, says she's at the police station, has to take another polygraph.
And then she shows up the next day.
The next day she shows up where?
Here, does she not?
Well, so you were interviewed by TBI on Wednesday. She came here Thursday.
So 2 days after or a day after?
2 days after.
And then what happened when she got here?
She got here, she was like telling me how she talked to them and was like, don't mention about the alcohol, but I don't mention it.
Did she say what she told them?
No, but she started asking me. I just told them what happened on the timeline.
And what did she say?
She said, okay, that better be it. I said, you didn't even scare me.
Well, why would she try to scare you?
That's what I'm saying. Why was she trying to even ask questions about it?
What's your gut feeling?
My gut feeling is that she had something to do with it. But then when all this happened, she just wanted the money in the end, because I'm not going to say names, but one of Red's friends, my girlfriend's mother's friends, was on Beach Creek just riding around, and she seen, as soon as someone posted a $25,000 reward, she seen her car, CANDUS's car, zooming down the road to the Hawkins County Police Station.
So what? What does that mean?
I mean, she supposedly the next day they gave, it was on Facebook that it was a tip.
Got it.
I was gonna say, if that was my daughter, I would have everything to do with it. I wouldn't be sitting at the house trying to get money, trying to just collect dust.
Well said, young man. Thank you very much, because it was this little part of the entire video which helped my daughter discover Poppets. Now she's using the Poppet with keyboard, and it has like Braille on it for all the letters. It's kind of neat. It's a good little learning tool.
gonna be sitting there doing everything in my power.
What do you think happened to Summer?
To be honest with you, her grandma was out of her mind. Like, you guys, them. I'm not saying you have to. I'm not saying they have to be in the camera.
I understand.
But I'm saying you can ask them that her mother's usually grumpy, controlling, like a regular grandma, like her. I'm not trying to be mean. But you know how grandmas can be, like grumpy, controlling, trying to run everything.
What do you think should happen to the person that did this to Summer?
Person that did this,
yeah,
they should be locked up for a very long time.
Why do you say that?
Because I was like, that's like my little sister. And I say that because she's just not the type of girl to go from the swing that's up there.
Okay. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you think is important that you would want to tell, you know, to get your side of the story out here?
I mean, I would say this, but I don't care if the camera's on or not.
No,
I mean,
the camera's on.
I don't really care, to be honest, with the camera. But the second day she came, she went to the car either to grab something or something, but I grabbed her phone because I wanted to see if she had anything to hide. Like you said, I'm street smart, I'm very observant.
Yes, you are.
Like, I would notice anything, like, you wouldn't even have to tell me, I still notice the mic on you.
Right. No, I respect that.
It's just how I am. It's just, if you're gonna leave something on the table, and I know that you probably got something to hide because of the way you're acting,
yep,
and the way you call me, of course I'm gonna look through your phone.
Sure.
So she goes through her car, goes on the other side. I act like I'm grabbing my phone because they're just about the same.
Right. So you play it like.
So I put mine where hers was.
Got it.
And so I grabbed her phone. And see, I'm good with tech. I know where everything you can hide is. And so I went through her Google Photos, if that's what you want to call it.
Okay.
The gallery part.
Okay.
And so where you can delete things, they don't just delete, they go to your trash. I don't know if people know that or not, but they go to your trash.
Okay.
I know that because I mess around with tech every day.
Right. You need to go into IT, bro. Right there. Go ahead.
And so when I looked in there, I seen 13 messages between her and her drug, I'm gonna say drug dealer because he is. I mean, I don't know if I'm allowed to name his name, but.
So, we won't even refer to him as the drug dealer. We'll call him a comrade, a confidant, somebody that they're protecting right now. That name. Don, that drug link is his most prized possession. And that's probably no AB, call him over to Don's. It's probably, I should stop reading chat when I'm trying to say something. But well, hold on. Let's finish. Let me listen to this.
I know where everything you can hide is. And so I went through her Google Photos, if that's what you want to call it.
Okay.
The gallery part.
Okay.
And so where you can delete things, they don't just delete, they go to your trash. I don't know if people know that or not, but they go to your trash.
Okay.
I know that because I mess around with tech every day.
Right. You need to go into IT, bro. Right there. Go ahead.
I kind of get the feeling that the three of them, Allison and Hunter, Allison is certainly not a crackhead or a meth head. Grandma, they all sit there and they're the type that like to be in everybody's business, and that's what pisses somebody like Don and CANDUS off. Remember when CANDUS was on a tirade, fucking idiot, to excuse me, Chris? You saw the real CANDUS Bly there. That's the CANDUS Bly that they're talking about. That's the chick that they're wanting to impress upon the people. The cray-cray. So in essence, it's kind of checked out a little bit. You don't have to worry about any necessary direct detail from our perspective, but in essence, the meaning behind their statements and what they wanted to express to Chris is checking out. If you weren't already convinced of it earlier, like many of us have been. It's just, here's another example. And these are going to increase in frequency and escalate until something breaks. And because the substance which they pump into their bodies are priority number one in their lives, they're out of control. And let's remind people that what you are experiencing here and witnessing is a disease. And it's because the silence that it's been allowed to fester inside Dawn for all these years. What is a substance use disorder in psychology, Dawn? Drug addiction, also called substance use disorder, CANDUS, is a disease that affects a person's brain and behavior and leads to an inability to control the use of legal or illegal drug or medication. Substances such as alcohol, marijuana, and nicotine also considered drugs. And caffeine. Same with these sweet teas I have beside me. Yeah.
And so when I looked in there, I seen 13 messages between her and her I'm gonna say drug dealer because he is. I mean, I don't know if I'm allowed to name his name, but yeah, all I seen was the first message before she started walking up to the mailbox to get up here is that it was done, and I was gonna read the next message of what she said. And
you know who would be a real interesting person to talk to, in my opinion, would be the owner of Tucker Drywall. I want to know all about Tucker Drywall. I want to know all about the people that work for Tucker Drywall. I want to know all about Don Wells' little buddies. I want to know all about his hustle. Well, I'm going to find out, Don.
She just started running up here, and I literally just slid my phone in my pocket and just put hers there. It's like, she asked me if I went through her phone. I said no. Why? Because I cleared it all out before she can get up here.
Did you tell TBI all this?
Yeah, I told them.
Okay.
The second time.
And they told you to keep it quiet on this piece?
They didn't tell me to really keep anything quiet.
Okay.
It's just that I'm not allowed to go on like lives without her, like international television.
Right.
I would go and take that. If I was EquuSearch, Dave Rader at EquuSearch Midwest, I would call in the ground penetrating radar and I'd turn the dial down a little bit on the transformer. And I would go in between those walls on every job that he's worked and see what's in between those walls. I would go over his work on his job sites with a fine-tooth comb, and I would retrace his steps back from, I want to know his pattern of behavior, his work habits. I want to know what his clientele think. I want to know what all the 5 people that he had to fire, I want to know their names. I want to know their drug connections. And then I'll have an episode of Miami Vice. Sorry. Remember the intro to that with the big scarabs and the cigarette boats? Ball. Oh, I love it. Anyway.
Right. Okay. Don't lie.
It's not my permission.
Yeah, no, straight up. You don't want that, Hunter, right? Because then everybody's going to put, they're going to put a lot on you. You know what I mean? You don't want that. So what was your gut feeling when you read that it's done?
My gut feeling was that either they had something to do with it.
Who's they?
Her.
Okay.
Or it was all of them together, like every single one of them in a family.
Where do you think Dawn was at work that day?
From what I've heard from the TBI, he was not at work.
No, I'm not talking about from TBI, what you know.
But what I know is that I thought he was at work because I used to work with him. I ain't gonna lie, I used to work with him on houses.
Okay, and what did TBI tell you then at that point?
Well, I was like, I asked him if he was at work.
And what they say?
They said that the people, they did not clarify that.
Okay, so they didn't verify it.
Yeah.
Okay, so it doesn't mean he wasn't. They just didn't verify it, right? Potentially.
No, they called up and asked to see if he was
Why
there.
would they want to hurt Summer?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I mean, I really don't, because Summer doesn't really do nothing but just like mess around like I do. I like to mess around with people.
Okay.
Yeah, I told them.
Okay.
The second time.
And they told you to keep it quiet on this piece?
They didn't tell me to really keep anything quiet.
Okay.
It's just that I'm not allowed to go on like lives without her, like international television.
Right. Okay. Yeah, don't lie. Don't lie.
It's not my permission.
Yeah, no, straight up. You don't want that, Hunter, right? Because then everybody's going to put they're going to put a lot on you. You know what I mean? You don't want that. So what was your gut feeling when you read that it's done?
My gut feeling was that either they had something to do with it.
Who's they?
Her.
Okay.
Or it was all of them together. Like every single phone, I said no. Why? Because I cleared it all out before she can get up here.
Did you tell TBI all this?
Yeah, I told them.
Okay.
The second time.
And they told you to keep it quiet on this piece?
They didn't tell me to really keep anything quiet.
Okay.
It's just that I'm not allowed to go on like lives without her, like international television.
Right. Okay. Yeah, don't lie. Don't lie.
It's not my permission.
Yeah, no, straight up. You don't want that, Hunter, right? Because then everybody's going to put they're going to put a lot on you. You know what I mean? You don't want that. So what was your gut feeling when you read that it's done?
My gut feeling was that either they had something to do with it.
Who's they?
Her.
Okay.
Or it was all of them together, like every single one of them in a family.
Where do you think Dawn?
I believe you, Hunter. I think that young man is on the right track. From my opinion, my perspective at this point in time. It's not necessarily that I believe his recollection of every last detail of that day. I believe his story was credible. Now that 3 weeks have passed, and not just because this incident have changed me, but it's starting to all fall into place as things do. Like we know about substance abusers, the predictability of their behavior and how unpredictable they can be. The warning signs, the flags. The answers that lack any substance. The statements that lack any substance is what Steve Johnson was on about last night. Or was that the night before? I can't remember now. Night before now. It's important that yesterday we featured a 15-minute segment from that. Tonight I want to feature a 15-minute segment that fell right in line with what we're talking about tonight, if you'll give me one moment.
Work, which I think he did. But I think he also got home. Because, he's got 3 boys at home. And I think, people did see him.
So I like this theory right here, and this is why I'm playing it. And this is from the timestamp on Chris's interview, which you can find in the description of this video below, just before 108. So about 1:07, 40-ish, around there, starting in about there. And Chris is going to get into exactly a theory which fits in with where we should be looking at this point in time, right? Excuse me. Right along from the perspective of this channel in this video. I mean, not in regards to everything else or any way you may be feeling. I'm not in any way trying to tell you how to think, but from the perspective of this video and the narrative. Thank you very much, Rosie, for the $5 super sticker.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so hang on for a minute. I see somebody, Benny Skeezy. Oh, good. Welcome. So everybody, I'd like you to meet Mr. Lindsay, Benjamin Dwayne Lindsay. He's just entered into our chat here, and he is gone. Sorry, go ahead. No, so where I was going is this guy goes to work, and then I think he does come home. And, maybe that's a time frame there, and then he goes back to work. So I'm going to believe these guys that say, yes, he was there. Okay, great. Okay. But
take that into consideration with what we now know about what Don's admitted about his drug usage, his denial in the same sentence. He denies drinking, but yet calls Chris 3 sheets to the wind. He admits it. He admits it. Then he normalizes it. He's a typical abuser in all aspects of the word. He doesn't even care about it. That's his rat. Yeah, I'm with the Lord. I got a right to sin. The Lord always forgives. He's a sick mofo, and he's been caught. He's backpedaler. Jaw-jacking and backtracking, the honky-tonk man. He's from Tennessee. My hat's off. I love Tennessee. I love it even more now.
I think there's more to that piece of the puzzle. And I'm glad that guy, I've been waiting for that guy to come in for a long time. So he's history. Anyway, sorry, guys. And by the way, go say hi to Plano PD because they're coming. Just give you an FYI. Look over your shoulder. Okay, yes, but like worse than other tweakers. Okay, we got that. So keep playing this here.
Some of the guys out there,
So from an investigative standpoint, how could you not want to go and investigate? If you have Don, the only information he's volunteering through all of this has been drug related, his drug connections, his drug history, his normalizing of it, and all the shit that goes on at Tucker Drywall, in which he used to work at. I would drop this guy like a bad habit and change my business name. He may well be his work, but I don't trust anybody that works alongside. Nobody trusts drywallers on the job site. I'll tell you that much. Nobody. Keep your tools locked up, boys. That's why you put a block on that job box, because there's drywallers about. And you can't trust them because they're always the lowest of the low. They always show up half-cocked because they can. Nobody else wants to be around their shit. Everybody has to be out of their room, and they can go in there all dolled out and put their sunglasses on, and nobody knows that they're half-cocked. They love it. See, I was an electrician. You can't be half-cocked being an electrician. Well, you can, but you might not. It's not really good for your safety.
I told him, come on over here and look at this job over here. Look at this. And they was like, wow. I couldn't believe it. This guy, his work was just horrible. And he's just out there. He's just big time out there. I don't know.
Sounds like he was tweaking.
Yes. But like worse than any tweaker I've ever seen. It could have been meth, but it's like worse than anything I've ever seen before. And I've seen some things in my time, but this was like way worse. Like maybe he was mixing something. But he's like, and he goes and tries, and but it's like
It's like,
He's talking about the guy that got arrested for trying to snatch, allegedly, a 12-year-old boy. He basically chased the kid into the house, and it looked like he was, his eggs weren't scrambling correctly that day, probably on tweak of some sort. But anyway, he runs into the garage after this 12-year-old boy. Can you imagine how scary that kid was? And he runs into the house, with a sign saying baby for sale. Okay.
Oh my
baby
gosh.
for sale. Yeah. And that was the other story that.
Okay.
so we've been talking, but
Yeah, there was, where she said that you were kind of spun out and, that your kids got with somebody else and, she didn't know about it and she went and got them.
I don't know anything about that. I have no idea. I never heard anything like that.
Now, what do you think that really means? Oh, all of a sudden he gets nice. Did you hear that change in the voice? It's to the point now where you don't have to analyze anything that comes out of that man's mouth. I've seen enough. I'm not even laughing at that. It's just to the point that it's so ridiculous, it's laughable. Don Wells. I realized there's a double entendre to that fake Wells that I put in my chat. That fake Don Wells. There's probably a Don Wells sock account in here. He's probably watching, but who gives a crap? Time's ticking, Donnie boy. You're late to the party. Now you're doing all the talking? Going on damage control? What do you have to worry about? You got your daughter to find. Or wait, we're not done looking yet. But that's actually the fake Don. But Don is fake. You could put it both ways, and it would mean kind of two different things. Literally and figuratively. Fucking Don.
And so the other side of that, so I talked to family about this particular story, and real fast, apparently he was high and went to cop.
EQ, did I see that right? IQ? Oh, there it is. What does EQ pixelate me? What about emotional intelligence? It's so important in 2021. It's not just an IQ. There's all kinds of different ways that people have intelligence and demonstrate it, display it. But it first starts with being human, and those substances that they put themselves on was what made that phone call. That's what made the phone call. Anybody with a rational mind doesn't pick up a phone and say things like that. Well, you could if you're to that point. But why would Don be at that point when, thank you very much, Jessica, when Chris and his wife were there to help them get the word out, spread the word out. Look, he does not want anybody around looking. She's gone. She got gone. She's as far as you guys can't see her anymore. She's not around here. Nothing to see here, folks. They pull a screen. This is like the Wizard of Oz. You know that point in the Wizard of Oz where the smoke starts billowing and something starts really screwing up? And then Toto runs over and takes a little curtain in his mouth and he pulls the screen back, and here's this douchebag talking through a microphone, turning a crank. Cogs and gears grinding. And it's nothing but a big production, Don. So in my opinion, at this point in time, the key to all this is to know, again, it still has been for a while in regards to this, but I have to kind of restate it, is we need to know these connections, which they are holding close to their chest. You can well imagine. So we've kind of thought ourselves through, and here we are at the gates to the next level, like on Super Mario Brothers. And you remember when you got to go in and battle the monster, there's just this other, secret level that you didn't know about if you enter this code. Well, here we go. I have to do a little bit of waiting. But we've been waiting for a while. This is why we've heard nothing. You notice the Amber Alert and somebody's taken her, but nobody's seen her. Nothing makes sense. But the only man talking is Don Wells. But he's not saying nothing about his daughter. It's all about what random strangers on social media say about him on Facebook messages that are in itself, defamatory, misleading. The guy it's tricky to pick him up because, he's malingering. He's malingering is what he's doing. He's faking his psychosis. Only he's a hardcore addict. It's different. You have to conceive it that way. He's a straight up liar. Look at how it's playing out. As Trezell West would say.
Up dope, left his 2 kids there, and came home. And everybody says, "Where are the kids?" And he was just too out of it. And they ran over to the dealer's house, and they were there. They were sitting there.
Wow.
The other story was he was actually out on the corner with his 6-month-old baby, with a sign saying "baby for sale." Okay.
Oh my
baby
gosh.
for sale. Yeah. And that was the other story, that the family went and got the baby from him. So he never really gave the kids away or traded them for dope. That is not what happened. But he was high when he was trying to cop dope with the babies. Okay. All 3 times. So that's what happened. Okay. And, there you go. Right.
You know what's so interesting about that, Chris? That it relates back to an area that I skipped over. That because we're just trying to get through this. We have so much to cover, and so I skipped over it. But it's back in the narrative and the transcript tonight, where he was talking about. You asked him, "Do you think that she was sold for dope or something like that?" And he said, "I'd be real interested to know if you could even do that."
Yeah,
and I thought,
I know.
Where in the world does that come from? That just tells me that he's open to that idea. And then he went on to defend the integrity of most drug dealers. He goes, even though they're damn drug dealers, he goes, I think most have more integrity than that. And he's coming to the defense of these drug dealers. Well, that's him. And so now this makes perfect sense. What you just said, it ties into how that language came out of his brain to his tongue when you asked the question. He was totally open to it. And man, I wish I would have called it out now. But thank you for sharing that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, no, and that's that was early on.
Muted. I'm so sorry. That was epic. I just delivered a great speech and it was all on mute, but it's okay. Thank you guys. Well, we can always make more. I'm so sorry about that. Fuck. That one really disappointed me. Normally I'm never disappointed about that, but like you get to that point in the show where it's right and you've got it all worked out just fine, and you deliver this epic speech in regards to whatever it was you were just talking about that you don't probably going to remember right now. It's okay. And somebody says sound. you're thinking, fucking trolls. And you're like, oh, I better check. Yep. Damn, disappointing. So that was a play-by-play of my mindset just now. Thank you very much. So I'll go back and say thank you very much for the very generous Mama Lisa. Thank you for the customer. I just missed that super chat. Thank you. Rosie, you're welcome for the laugh. Thank you for the super chat. However, where it happens, it's part of working the late shift, the night shift. Now, let me retrace my thoughts. Edibles are a bitch. I'm not actually on it. I don't try not to eat edibles. I try to keep, so you might always think that I am high up here. I try to keep it very minimal. I get sick of being around it so much. I have to separate it. Like I'm fine. I'll try it because it's a great product, but there's such a thing as liking my product too much, or some of my products too much. And then, your tolerance builds up and they don't have the intended effect, and you end up eating a bunch of chocolate. So, you have to keep, enjoy them responsibly as a high as a kite. Yeah, I am high as a kite. High on life, man. This is what happens. You can think I'm high all you want, but it's just actually because I'm really happy right now. If you can imagine that, which is great. I'm not depressed one bit. It's what happens when you make money, Skeezy. Certainly Glacius. That's a good name. When you high, mega high. That's what I want my new song or my new entrance song to be, or the 8-second intro is just that cut from Hits from the Bong. Just a cut from Hits from the Bong. What if they'd allow me to do that? Cypress Hill had some great tracks back in the day. Anyway, let's get back to this for a second. So where were we? Getting back to Chris. We're talking about Chris and Steve, and they're talking about the drug dealers and the commonalities and in the behavior and the patterns that we've come to recognize from Don Wells. Notably, do you remember in that statement, if we go back and listen to that, we're not going to, but go back and listen to that cut again, that 3-minute, that abusive phone call. The vulgarity. Oh, detestable. He was gaslighting Chris like you wouldn't believe. It really goes to show the type of mindset they're in from their perspective, that they're actually doing Chris a favor and letting him in and giving him the story, giving him. Don't we kind of see that in the Monica Sherrod situation with the Daily Mail UK scenario? And he called him outraged because he really thought he was doing him the favor. He really thinks that he is in control of all this. He doesn't recognize the fact that he has a missing daughter. He forgets that. Pardon me. He forgets that. When your daughter is missing, the element of desperation is so blatantly clear that it is coming through. You cannot help it. You cannot help your emotion. There's a sense of desperation that has never been there since day one, and that is incredibly suspicious, especially with all the other things that are accumulating around it. In regards to, the things that Don Wells wants to talk about, the things that he can remember, the things that he doesn't remember. I'd be really concerned about the state of affairs if I had him looking after any job for me. Could you imagine that moron coming back into my office every night and having to explain the day's affairs? How much money did you make me today, Don? And he gives you a line of shit like that? How long before you fired him? If you look pinned to the top of your chat, what is malingering? How do those who fake psychosis get caught? That's Dr. Todd Grande. I want to encourage everybody to go, especially if you're following the Summer Wells case, go and subscribe and get into all you can. He releases short little videos, and they are, am I malingering? I'm not that crazy. Sometimes I fake malingering. Well, I fake my malingering. Yeah, that's crazy. You got to think about it. But go check out Todd Grande in the meantime. And feel free to go down that rabbit hole. You'll be thankful. Well, you'll be glad you did.
You caught that earlier on. That was that's what he was saying. So here we go. And I gave him a heads up about the information that would come up.
And that's why I'm asking you. I mean, right now, I always go right to the source. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that kicks down a lot of information.
I know what I was saying. Fuck, thank God. See, I'm not that crazy. So I was when you go back and listen to that god awful clip, and Don was pointed out to Chris that you don't know who's telling the truth. I'm the only one in the position that can that can tell everybody else here the truth. Is that not textbook? Like, it's unbelievable, the audacity of that high mofo. Like, man, that's like a diamond in the rough from our perspective. Like, you just sold the farm, Don. All the questions that are going to come around from that little 3-minute clip. Allows you a perspective. He's gaslighting the situation. He's in no position. He doesn't know the truth. He's a staunch denier, an abuser. Normalizes the world to him. How can the world accommodate me? It's my right. That he has some sort of privilege. Come on now, Don. He hasn't exhibited one quality required to provide for a family. And he looks like shit. Wonder how happy hour's going. There's no kids around. They probably sleep till 3 p.m.
Information either way. And no matter what, I mean, people are going to, if she tells somebody this or that, there's a lot of he said, she said.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. That cocaine thing for me was really tough for me to get over for years, and I'm not going to say and lie to you.
Were you?
See, now he said he didn't do it, but he gave it. If I did do it, he remembers it. Okay, it was because of the cocaine.
Because of the cocaine, that's the excuse.
The cocaine problem.
Yeah.
Are you doing any drugs now? And will the cops?
No.
Did they take your blood?
But then he admits later on that he only does coke when he drinks. Anytime that he gets alcohol in the system, he needs to have that gram. That's what he wants to be true. But he spends all his time making that shitty stuff, all messed up in that state of mind. It's dirty, and you can see it. It's not clean stuff. It's horrible quality. Kimberly Ashcraft, thank you. Your imitations are amazing. No, not yet, daters. Oh, Richard Pryor. Last week in skeezy voice, you said malfeasance almost caused me a cataplexy attack. Your Chris Emma's voice is getting better, she says. Thank you. Malfeasance, yes. Y'all, I got to start working that term. I guess get some Southern terms in to really bring it home. Let me tell y'all something. Could be a wrestler, Dougie Hutton. Now,
They test us, yes. I'm clean. I don't do nothing. I won't even pick up a beer.
Okay, so they.
Well, for one thing, if I drink beer, then I do want that crap, so I won't even touch a beer.
Right. So, but they took.
Hey,
they took
Chris,
your
hold
blood.
up. So what's interesting here, I kind of get a chuckle out of this because you asked him, are you doing any drugs now? And you gave him a compound question. Are you doing any drugs now? And the cops, they take your blood. So he latches on, they tested us, yes. And then he adds, I'm clean. I don't do nothing. And what he goes to is, I won't even pick up a beer. And that wasn't strong enough for him. And so now he has to sell it to you. He says, for one thing, if I drink a beer, then I do want that crap. So I won't even touch a beer. Okay. So it tells me, because he has this overt need to persuade you that he won't even pick up a beer because it makes him want the cocaine or the drugs, that he's likely using drugs right now as he's talking to you. I mean, not as he's talking to you, but I mean, and now.
Oh, no, Steve, it's okay. Yeah, as he's talking to you, he is using drugs. Absolutely. 100% absolutely. He cannot function without a little bit in his system. And let's not incorporate the long-term damages that he's already done to his system. Remember when there's a Skeezy story about when Skeezy is a user on meth, that he's locked himself away and starts masturbating for like 9 hours sessions on methamphetamine. Can you imagine what a little bit of that stuff does to Donnie here?
In his life, he hasn't given it up, and so he's likely still an addict and using. We have this language of addiction throughout this interview. It just tells me this kind of puts the nail in the coffin that he's still using.
Yeah, a very good, astute observation, Steve. I sure appreciate you. Here we go.
Yeah, they drug test us. Yes.
Yeah, that's typical in these kind of high profiles like this. And what about CANDUS? Both of you?
Well, she was dirty for weed.
Okay.
Okay. But she quit after all this was happening.
Well, how does he know that? Because it takes about a week, almost 2 weeks later, to get those tox results, if not longer. Weed is a little bit longer potentially.
Yeah, and once again, he's throwing CANDUS under the bus.
Yeah, I don't think he knows. I don't think he knows.
Huh.
Summer, she's quit that, and now I'm just trying to get her to work on the alcohol.
Right.
Because I'm like, she.
I've never taken blood from a subject and then said, hey, by the way, you don't have anything in your system.
Yeah.
Have you?
Right. No, never. Never.
Right. I mean, you just don't do that. That's not investigations 101. So I didn't believe that from the day I heard it.
She started drinking last night, and she quit for like 2 days. I'm like, CANDUS, when you drink, it just makes it hard on me. Now I got to babysit you and everything else. And
Hold on, right.
Now this is
go.
So I just can't get over how much he's pointing the finger at CANDUS, and he's really throwing her under the bus, and he's portraying himself as I won't even touch a beer. Okay, I'm the good guy, but look at her. She tested positive for weed, and now she has this alcohol problem, and we have to get her off the alcohol, because when she drinks, she can't control herself. And what happens when she drinks? She can't control herself. Don's saying, I have to babysit her, and this is an inconvenience for me. So he doesn't like this. And Chris, there's this theme throughout this whole interview that.
Well, they're covering for each other. They're covering from each other in real time. And we can see that. You can just picture it yourselves. They're sitting around all messed up. Normal people sit around and talk and eat ice cream and laugh. These people do lines of coke on the mirror now that the kids are gone.
CANDUS has problems. Pointing the finger at her. I'm the good one. I have to clean things up. This brings me back actually to where he said, and I had to clean things up, meaning that day, you know, he's really telling us my perception of reality that day is that CANDUS, look at her. She's got the problem. It's a female that's the suspect. I had to clean it up. She's an inconvenience for me when she drinks and she causes problems. Chris, it's all this theme, and it's all, you put it all together and it just paints this picture. That's what he's doing. You know, every time he answers a question, it puts another piece of the puzzle on the table, and it just it's pretty. We're starting to see the bigger picture now that he's painting. It's his words. It's not ours, and it's becoming very clear.
Yeah, he's got the brush, right?
He does.
He's got the brush.
This is another hard question. All right.
Yeah.
If and by the way, I had heard that too. So I was thinking through that. So that leads me to think, could she have been high, and that would have played a role in, not necessarily, you know, just where she's not paying attention or grandma's not paying attention. And does grandma smoke?
No, not at all.
Okay.
And the thing about that is she won't smoke during the day.
Okay.
And she will not drive and smoke because she's so afraid that she's going to get a DUI and all that, and so she will not touch it.
Okay.
But she'll smoke a little bit at night. If she has a few drinks, she might smoke a little bit, and then she's going to bed. That's it. End of CANDUS.
Okay.
Until she wakes up in the morning, and then look out.
Got it. And then
let's talk about this for a second.
Tell me about.
So this line of questioning that you gave him, it's actually suggesting that.
Yeah, that's what that whole statement just talked. Another statement that talked you right around and right back into a big circle. Anything but directly to the point. Yes or no? No, she doesn't drink during the daytime. You know, it's almost like a purpose. He's jumping at the question to almost intentionally misunderstand it in order just to maintain some sort of talk to take up airtime. He jumps on it. Hey, good morning, Rua, everybody in Ireland. Top of the morning to you. We're in deep again about Don Wells. In his drug habits.
That there was an accident due to alcohol or drugs. And so your question would actually cancel out the abduction hypothesis. And so even though he was previously throwing her under the bus, now, because this would cancel out the abduction hypothesis, he has to come to her aid. And so that's what he does. And he says, you know, she doesn't smoke during the day and no alcohol at night. And if you don't believe me, she wouldn't do it because she's afraid of getting a DUI. So you should believe me that doesn't happen. And then he says, she might smoke a little bit at night and have a few drinks. And so he's telling us that's it, end of CANDUS. So he's telling us that during the night, CANDUS is unresponsive until morning. She's out for the count for the night. And then when she wakes up, he says, look out. So it tells us that he's really disparaging CANDUS. To me, it's incredible how much he's throwing her under the bus and using the disparaging words about his wife. And once again, it's a subtle finger point. her way. If anything happened, it's going to be her fault. She tested positive for weed. She has the alcohol problem. I'm just the guy that has to come clean it up.
Yeah, I feel sorry for Candace. I do. I mean, I'm not, just, as a human, right? There's just so much that we don't know behind the scenes about that situation.
So much.
And that's exactly what I was thinking back here is, especially when it comes to Don and all the things that we're uncovering and coming to learn about his history of abuse. You can't help but ask it, what else do we not know? What evil lurks in the mind of Don? We're going to find out. He's giving us all kinds of information. Isn't it interesting? Isn't it interesting all of a sudden how Don is lying? The things that he says, how, the way that he's diverting, yet pointing fingers back at everybody else. Who does that? Answer is the guilty. You're watching it here in real time, unfortunately.
And
she's living with a manipulator.
Well, and right there's a part of amazing thought process in that. So we'll see.
But Hunter, what's his play here?
I have no idea what the deal is with that, because every time I've ever seen him, when he comes over to our house, he plays with the kids. He's always been real gentle, real good. He always comes up and gives me a hug, and I try to be as nice to him as I can, because I know he doesn't have a father, or or whatever. He lives in town in HUD housing or whatever, so he don't get out in the country and stuff. And so I've just tried to be really nice to him, and he's always been good and give me a hug and everything every time I've ever seen him.
Okay.
And so this is all just since Summers disappeared and they all turned on us. That just blew me away. I'm like, why? It's like they're trying to divert attention to us for some reason.
And what about,
let me just point out one thing.
He's...
Yep.
I'll just point out one thing here. This is what he's doing here. How many times did he say that Hunter always comes up and gives me a hug, and I try to be as nice to him as I can? Why? Because I know he doesn't have a father. And then again, he says, and so I've tried to be really nice to him, and he's always been good and gives me a hug and everything. So he's portraying himself as the good guy, and he may be, and it may be that Hunter gave him a hug, and it may be that he was nice to him, but it's the fact that he's portraying himself like that to you, that he feels the need to portray himself as that. That's what I have the problem with. And it tells me that there was likely something going on, that he was not really the good guy, because he's having to portray himself as that. And so that's where the red flag goes up for me. It's awesome to be a good guy, and it's awesome to, if he really was, treating Hunter, paying special attention to Hunter because he didn't have a dad. But I'm actually really not even getting that he did a whole lot with Hunter, other than maybe just say some nice things to him, and that's it. But it just goes back to that there's something underlying here with this need to persuade that he's such a good guy.
Interesting.
He said that obviously threw you guys, in different directions, and and there's a lot of different. There's two sides always to every story,
right? And absolutely,
some person says this, another person says that, but somewhere in between is the truth.
Yeah, that's right.
That's always the way these things unfold.
Yes.
And so, what about his mom? What?
I think the welfare I know that she called the welfare on us. That's why the welfare was on us and why they was worried about the weed thing. And they was fixing to close our case. But I think that she thought we called the welfare on her and she was trying to get back at us. But we don't do that unless it's necessary.
So he doesn't have a problem, basically.
So there he goes again. I don't do except, well, you just contradicted yourself. Unless it's absolutely necessary. No, you did. Abuse by proxy. You love to play, you love to retaliate, to one up. That escalation in behavior is probably another example. I only have to believe at this point in time, based on everything I see, that it's probably another behavior, a cycle in his secret life that escalates as well. His sexual behavior, because that's what he loves most about the drug. That's the be all and the end all to him.
If somebody gives him a problem, then he doesn't have a problem going back at them, unless it's necessary, right? Typical, right? Typical.
Yeah, for sure.
For a guy going to church.
Oh, so revenge again, right?
Yeah. And we never called the welfare on her. We wouldn't do that unless, like I say, if there's a reason to, But other than that, we're not going to call just for revenge or whatever.
Right.
But I think that's why she called him on us, because, for revenge. But for why, what I still don't understand is why, when they found out the summer it was gone, that's the instant they turned on us big time.
Interesting.
The very instant, yes. Very interesting.
So there's more to these dynamics, right? Because now he's interjecting that, they're in play here for hurting Summer.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, at this point in time, before we let this one go, remember his when Don gets mad, he likes to get even. You remember the little bumper sticker? That's Donnie Boy. That's how he responds to situations like this. So before he throws Hunter under the bus, because this episode is focused on around the Hunter scenario at this point in time, let me play what we opened up with as well, for the sake of the new audience right now in the phone call. Let's hear CANDUS and Don once more mid-show.
Out there willing to help me try to buy my daughter now. They're probably ain't gonna want to help me now. They're gonna think that I did it because of what you did. Yeah, you lied on me, man.
What did I lie about?
Because I told you the truth and you twisted it all.
Okay, what
That's lying.
did I lie about?
It might be.
Tell me what
that might be your opinion.
Tell me what I lied about.
Everything. I told you that, like, for one, that me and my stepsister had something going on when we was younger, and you put on there that it was me and her daughter.
No.
Are you crazy?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
I said it's your stepsister.
I guess
it's your stepsister.
Yeah, you did.
I said I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did. Easy.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
I said it's your stepsister.
I guess my niece, or whatever she's supposed to be to me, the one that says I raped her, which is 100% lies.
Trish never said you raped her.
What it says on her video.
Well, that's her video. That's not mine.
Yeah.
So what does Trish's statement have to do with me?
You put her statement on your show.
But
on your podcast.
Because I watched her statement, and I wanted people just like you to know the truth.
But she's lying. And that's the thing. You don't know whether she's telling the truth or I'm telling the truth. I know. And that's the thing. You don't know whether she's telling the truth or I'm telling the truth. I know who's telling the truth. And that's the thing. You don't know whether she's telling the truth or I'm telling the truth. I know who's telling the truth.
Right. But now
she knows who's lying.
Well, then, what about the statement you gave me about? Is it your stepsister?
Yeah, my stepsister.
And you.
When we were young.
How old were you?
Yeah,
how old were you?
You know, she initiated all this stuff. I'm gonna tell you that right now. She initiated it. Yes.
Okay. And then you just went along with it?
Well, I was a kid, brother.
And how old?
I was a kid. I didn't know no better.
How old were you?
I was still a kid. I might have been somewhat a little bit older than her.
How much?
I can't remember. I was a kid.
Oh yeah. How many years difference? Do you remember?
There's a little bit of difference there, you know.
How many?
But she still initiated it and stabbed me in my back.
How many years different?
Man, there ain't no talking to you. I can see that. You're gonna twist everything I said.
I'm asking you how many years different. That's it.
I don't know. But you're just gonna twist it. You're just gonna make me upload. And this happened like over 40 years ago, and she wants to bring it all up now. All the time I was in prison, she could have called the cops on me and had me charged for rape if it actually happened. So you know it's got to be lies right there. You made me look like a freaking criminal, dude. I'm trying to change your lives. Fucking idiot. I'm trying to change your lives. Fucking idiot. I'm trying to change your lives. Fucking idiot. We all make mistakes. You act like you're Mr. Perfect, like you ain't done a fucking thing wrong in your life, and that's a lie.
Okay, what have I done wrong?
Oh, according to you, not a damn thing, but I'm sure you have.
I'm asking you.